Yo, what's going on, everybody? Today we are breaking down some trainings for you guys. Let me find it here. I want to share how to make more money, book more calls, get more clients, get more people showing up to your calls by zooming in right here on the pre-sale process. So if these 9 kind of elements here are what goes into helping you scale your sales, make more money, get more time, have more growth. This one is super important. So what happens when you don't have a way to pre-sell your clients? You might be experiencing some of this. Oops. World's worst drawing. All right. Well, what's going to happen? So number 1, people are ghosting you. People are ghosting you. They're ghosting your calls, or they're not booking as many calls as you should. Your leads are falling through the cracks. Leads fall through cracks. You got a leaky funnel, right? Or if they're not pre-sold, but they are going onto the call, you got to educate them, or you got to sell them hard. Or they're just super skeptical. They don't know who you are. You've built no authority or trust before the call. So let's just face it, sales are hard. You're kind of trapped in this little prison here, if you will. Your current reality kind of looks like a prison. Business overall is not fun. Life is not fun when business is not fun. Trust me. There is a better way here. So when you have pre-selling assets, what's that like? Well, rather than leads falling through the crack, your business kind of goes, let me just draw this up for you. So most people's funnel, it doesn't look like a funnel. It looks more like a straight line. Kind of leads come through here. And then let's say we're trying to capture them in this little bottle here, right? But since it's not an actual funnel, they're just falling out. Some of them get in here, but a lot of them fall out and they splash everywhere and they're gone. So it's making your business way harder because you have a low lead efficiency. Okay, lead efficiency is if you get 100 leads, how well are you working those 100 leads? Common numbers is like if you get 100 leads, you get 2 to 3 sales. That's like, most people consider that good. That's like a very low lead efficiency. What about the other 98, 97 people, right? An actual funnel looks like this, right? It's like, it's only going in here, which is what we want. Now, leads into buyers. Leads into buyers as efficiently as possible. So if I were to turn this into a cool looking pyramid, maybe not that cool. Let me actually make this a bit smaller. That's not what she said. All right. Bam. Okay. What goes into the 3 elements? Well, first of all, what are the 3 problems that people have? So the first one is that they don't trust you. We live in the post-trust era, as Jeremy Miner would say. We have no trust. Number 2, when you have no trust, what happens? Well, sales are hard. Sales are, I want to say friction. They're full of friction, but they're hard. No fancy words here. And then finally, what about all of the people that say no? Do they disappear forever? Right? We have no way of capturing them. So it's like our follow-up sucks. Let's be honest. If you've been in sales for any amount of time, follow-up is probably your weakest part of the whole process, right? So what we want to do is create systems, pre-selling systems. When people are pre-sold, they're pre-sold on the value of working with you. Okay? So, number one, when you think of Jordan Belfort, he talked about the 3 10s. They need to be a 10 out of 10 on you, 10 out of 10 on your company, and 10 out of 10 on your offer. Well, first of all, how do we get them a 10 out of 10 on not your company, but you and your process? You need authority assets. Okay. Authority assets. These are things in place before they get on the call with you. These are things that get them to buy into your method. You know, the big domino, as Russell Brunson calls it, like the one thing that they need that you can give them. All right? They need that. So, number 2, they need a bonding sequence, as I would call it. Not bondage, bonding. Number 3, you need to generate demand. You got to get people wanting the call more than you want them to book a call, right? Demand. We're not pushing people into booking a call. We're pulling them. A bonding sequence is like getting them to be a 10 out of 10 on you. I like you. I dig you. And so there's multiple ways we do that. I'm going to go into some of these in a second. But first, let's look at this. So if sales are hard, we need a conversion system. And the first thing that we need to fix your show up rate. So we need to make sure that we need to prevent no-shows. Okay, number 2, we need to pre-qualify. Pre-qualify, pretty easy. We want to make sure that people are getting on the call with us. Number 1, that we can help them. If we're wasting our time with a bunch of brokies, that's a problem. Finally, number 3, we want to pre-handle objections. We want to do that through assets, guys. We want to do this before they get on the call. If you or your closers continually spend time handling the same objections, we need to fix that with content and through systems, right? We need them to come to the call already demanding your service. And then from there, your sales is easy. You don't need a crazy framework. But we want to remove as many obstacles to the close before they get on the call. And then finally, guys, if your follow-up sucks, what do you think you need? I would call them nurturing systems. Nurturing. Or follow-up systems. Okay. Nurturing systems. This is a weak spot for so many people. Again, like if you're booking 100 leads, I'll run through the numbers, but you can make so much more money if you double down on nurturing your existing leads versus constantly looking to get new leads. Okay, so number 1, looking at nurturing, the very first thing I would call it is a weekly the weekly warmer. All right, warming people up, keeping them warm, keeping them, continuing to deliver value, continuing to prove you can help them by actually helping them, continuing to make offers and re-offers and things of that nature. All this stuff goes into the weekly warmer stuff. And then the next one, hey, how did that switch? The next one is I call this all front awareness. Because here's the deal, guys. The deal is this. If they say no, what that really means is not now. And so your job from the second they say no on a call until the end of time is to follow up with them until they buy or they block you on every single platform and then they disappear. But we want to do that in a way that's automated. Okay, so there's many channels that we can do this on where it's not going to take your time to stay top of mind. Right, so I'll probably talk about this in a second. And then finally, guys, you probably have a lot of dead leads, people that have you've spoken to a long time ago. They might be ready now, but how are we going to know if they are? Well, we need an easy way to bring them in, because you could probably make a lot of money just from this one thing, and that is the Cash Now campaign. Something to revive your dead leads. These are the main areas that go into essentially pre-selling your clients, turning leads into buyers. I think this will make sense if we run through the numbers. So this is the old way, and this is the new way. And by the way, most people don't understand. The problem is they don't understand that there's 5 functions to a business. 5 functions to every business. Lead generation, lead nurture, conversion, delivery, back end. Increasing the LTV, long-term value of them. Most people make the mistake of trying to jump over lead nurture, and that's why all their stuff sucks. And my word for lead nurture is literally pre-selling. Anyway, I digress. What happens when you do things the old way, where you have no follow-up? Let's do an FU for follow-up. You have no pre-sell. You have no conversion systems. You get a really leaky bucket. All right, so if you get 100 leads, maybe 50 of them are qualified, queue for qualified. Of the 50, maybe you get 30 of them to book a call. All right, I'm gonna have my little calculator out here so I can break down some numbers to see if these actually would match reality. Of the 30 that book a call, let's say 15 of them get an offer. It's not good. Of the 15 that get an offer, let's see, what would that be? Yeah, maybe you get 3 sales. 3 sales, 5K offer. So that's 15K. And then let's say you have really poor follow-up. And so the only way that people are going to come back is if they just randomly hit you up a month later. Maybe you get one extra sale from follow-up every month. Follow-up equals 1 sale. So total, you're at 20K per month. And I'm being generous. It's probably worse than that. So when you have the nurture system, when you have pre-selling system, and when you have a conversion system, we're going to tinker with these numbers, and I'll show you quickly what it looks like. So you'll get the same 100 leads. The problem is here you have basically 4 sales for every 100 leads. So your lead equivalent, what was the word? Lead efficiency is 4%. And again, that's being generous. So overall, we're going to increase the lead efficiency. So let's say you get 100 leads, but now these people, we're pre-qualifying them, right? We have a pre-qualifying thing in our place, in our conversion system. We're creating demand. We're probably, with our marketing, we're targeting better people. So we might even bump up the 50 to a 75 qualified. And because we have our preventing no-shows piece, where did my thing go? Oh, this is the wrong one. Yeah, preventing no-shows. 75 are qualified. Sorry, my OCD. 75 are qualified. Before, what was this? We had a 60% a show rate. Probably bump that up to 80%. Actually, guys, I'll just use simple math. So it's like we have the same numbers here. Because often, like, the amount of qualified leads you get is a function of your marketing. And this is a bit different from marketing. Right? Marketing is getting information from people. It depends on your messaging and stuff like that. So to be fair, let's say we get the same amount of qualified leads. If we bump the show rate from 60 to 80%, where it should be, or at least 70, 75, most people are around 50 or less, especially once you start running traffic. What would that be? 50 times 0.8. All right, that's 40. 40 booked calls. And then here from the people that book, it's a 50%. Why would this be low? Why would that be a 50%? It should be at least in a 70 to 80%, right? People, if they're booking calls but they're not getting an offer, it's typically because they're not qualified or they think that you do something else. They're not educated. If you're spending a lot of time educating people, you're probably not going to make them an offer because they're not a fit. They don't know what you do and all that stuff in your process before they get on the call. You have no authority building assets. Okay? And so what that means is 50% offer rate is like, okay, let's get it up to where it should be. I would say at least 80, 90%. Let's shoot for 80% to be fair. Okay, so 40 times 0.8, that is 32 offers. 32. All right, hopefully you see where we're going with this. So before we were closing at 20%. Maybe we weren't doing a good job of handling objections. Maybe our sales process wasn't smooth. People weren't getting into a state of demand before we made the offer. And so we were losing a lot of sales. We were trying to motivate people into buying, right? We weren't enrolling them. And so now that we have the right things in place, people are showing up, we're pre-qualifying them, we're getting them to know what we're all about before getting to the call. So really our sales is getting a lot simpler, but more effective. You should be at minimum 40% closing rate. With this, ideally 60 to 80%, right? As a closer, as the business owner, typically you should be at a 70 to 80% closing rate. Your sales team should be at a 40%. So you can plug in the numbers depending on if it's you or a team doing this. But let's just say that we meet in the middle, we call it a 50%. 50% increase in closing rate. Or not a 50%, sorry, we go up to 50%. Because a 50% increase in closing rate here would be 30%. So 32 people get offers. Even if everything was the same before, if we did nothing to the closing rate, we would be at 6 sales, which is pretty good. We're already 2 sales above the old way with no change in closing rate. But guys, we can go from, if we hit these KPIs, these like a 50% close rate, which is pretty good as a business owner. 40 is like good for your team. We're at 16 sales. 16 sales on a 5K offer, but we're not done. And now we have a weekly rhythm. We have a warming sequence, an engine that runs nonstop, following up with leads, making offers. We have systems around collecting all of our leads so that leads aren't escaping. We're trapping them. We're trapping them like little weasels, like beaver trappers here in Canada. And so maybe our follow-up game is also, it went from producing 1 sale a month. Maybe now it produces 1 a week. And that is being conservative. Very doable. So total, we're at 20 sales at 5K. So we're now at 100K per month, right? 20 sales. Our lead efficiency is 20%. And it could be higher. This is just kind of being, kind of conservative. So as you can see, there's quite a big room for improvement. Hopefully these numbers are making sense. It's not a bunch of like nerd math speak, because these are the things the little hinges that move the big doors. And so for you, if we were to look at your business, by the numbers. Forget about all these things, but by the numbers. By the numbers. I would love for you to share. We'll just run through all the numbers. How many leads per month? How many are qualified? Meaning they have the money, that they're a fit, right? How many are showing? How many get an offer? How many close? How many come from your sales process, like one call, and then how many come from follow-up, right? And then you tell me, what is your lead efficiency right now? And like, obviously it makes sense if we do this out of 100, but it might be way lower than that. And if it's lower than that, it's even more important that you have these pieces in place, these systems in place. Because the less leads you have, the harder and more efficient you have to work them harder, and you have to be more efficient with what you have. That is how you start scaling up. And then all the money that you're starting to make, because you have good systems, well, you funnel it back into marketing, you funnel it into your sales team, into your delivery, and life's good. But this is just really, this whole piece here, remember, is just this pre-selling piece of the whole puzzle, which is pretty cool. The cool thing is there's like a lot more where that came from. I made a video on this whole, like breaking down this whole thing earlier. The only thing I switched was this used to say, where it says freedom in the middle here, where it says freedom right here. It used to say leverage, but I figured, you know what? Freedom is what more people want than leverage. And leverage is in my twisted mind, like that's another way of saying freedom, but we want to scale our sales, right? So we basically need all of these things. But anyway, I digress. What are these numbers for you? And then where would you like to be? I want to know ideally, if we were to work together for the next year and we were having this conversation 1 year from today, what are your numbers in terms of monthly revenue, monthly rev, number of clients, perhaps, per month, number of new clients coming in, I should say. So is it, you want to work with like a whole bunch, just a few, and then like your closing percentage. I would love to know, where would you like to be? And then basically, where are we at now? And then the cool thing is, guys, I help people implement all this stuff. I can either do it for you, or I can coach you to do it, whatever makes the most sense. If you want to see, hey, how does it all work? What would it look like for my business? Can you give me an example of all this stuff? The answer is yes, of course. Pretty simple. Shoot me a DM, Instagram, Twitter, Ben W. Byrne on both. Or you can book I have a calendar link somewhere in the description. You can book through that. And then basically I'll talk to you. We can do, a simple call. Like, oops, let me just delete this. Basically, we want to cover 3 things. 1, 2, 3. Number 1, where you want to go. Where are we going? Number 2, how are things now? What's working? What's broken? What what do we need to fix? And then really, what do we need? What are all the things that are slowing you down, stopping you from getting from point A to point B? Where you're at now to where you want to be. And then from that, we'll create a game plan to get you there. Okay. Pretty simple. If you want to work with me, I'll break down how that works. If you're like, hey, this is cool, no worries. We can part as friends. And then, the last thing is just really just letting me know based on the numbers, what are your current numbers right here? What are these guys for you right now? Because this will give us direction for the call. All right, so that's all I got. I'm going to stop sharing. That's all I got for now. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. And I'll talk to you soon.